Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a young boy named Tom and his father, Mr. Brown. Tom was a cheerful and curious boy, always eager to learn new things. His father was a farmer, and they lived in a cozy house surrounded by green fields. One sunny morning, Mr. Brown decided to teach Tom an important lesson about honesty. "Tom," he said, "today we are going to the market to sell some apples. Remember, always be honest with the customers." Tom nodded eagerly, excited for the day ahead. They picked the ripest apples from their orchard, loaded them onto a cart, and headed to the market. The market was bustling with people. Mr. Brown set up their stall, arranging the apples neatly. Soon, customers began to stop by. A kind old lady approached and asked, "How much for these apples?" Mr. Brown replied with a warm smile, "These are the best apples from our farm. They are fresh and juicy. It's $5 for a dozen." The old lady picked up a dozen apples, paid the money, and left with a smile. Tom watched carefully, impressed by how his father spoke to the customers. As the day went on, a man with a sharp look in his eyes approached their stall. He picked up an apple and said, "These apples don't look very good. I'll give you $3 for a dozen." Tom felt uneasy. He knew their apples were worth more. He looked at his father, waiting to see how he would respond. Mr. Brown shook his head gently and said, "Sir, our apples are fresh and of good quality. They are worth $5 a dozen. We cannot sell them for less." The man grumbled and walked away. Tom felt proud of his father for standing his ground and being honest. Later in the afternoon, a young woman came to their stall. She looked at the apples and said, "I only have $4 with me. Can I buy a dozen apples for that price?" Tom looked at his father again. Mr. Brown smiled kindly and replied, "Yes, you can." Sometimes being kind is as important as being honest. The woman thanked them gratefully and left with the apples. Tom realized that honesty and kindness often went hand in hand. As the day came to an end, they packed up their stall and headed home. On the way back, Mr. Brown said, "Tom, did you learn something today?" Tom nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, Dad. I learned that being honest is very important. Even if it means losing a customer, we should never lie. And being kind is also important." Mr. Brown smiled proudly. "That's right, Tom. Honesty builds trust. People will come back to us because they know we are honest. And kindness makes the world a better place." From that day on, Tom always remembered his father's lesson. He grew up to be an honest and kind man, just like his father. And every time he faced a difficult situation, he would think of that day at the market and choose to be honest and kind.